Hey guys, this is the General, and I'll be doing my review on Battlefield 1 Closed Alpha. Battlefield 1, of course, is the World War I era video game created by EA and DICE. So far, once again, we're getting another release. This is the release after Hardline. I like the game so far. I mean, hey, the game works really great. It's got great performance, and it's put together much better than Battlefield 4's closed alpha and beta were. When I alpha tested Battlefield 4, we had a lot of problems. Graphics were slow, game was crashing continuously. Here in Battlefield 1, it almost feels like a final release of the game, and I was actually very impressed with EA and DICE. They worked hard on this because, of course, the Battlefield 4 release was just a PR nightmare. Starting up the game immediately, I was impressed. They're no longer using, at least in this alpha, the battle log startup that goes into the web browser. I was always against that method, and I found that it was really slow. If a person didn't want to use the web browser, it takes away memory and resources on your rig, and that's never any good. So it feels like we're going back to the classic style of matchmaking within the game itself. The navigation menus, there's a little bit to be asked for there, honestly. I like the way the interface works. It's smooth, fast. I can get to all my options and settings. The keys and the server joining setups are the same as the classic Battlefields, where you have your server lists. You can pick what type of maps you want. I felt that the battle log system, while it could be effective, was a nightmare. Switching between searching for different types of servers and different game modes was just a pain. You had to check and uncheck different filters and settings, and it was just really clunky, and it didn't work right. Historically in Battlefield, as we all know, the automatic matchmaking system always worked horribly, especially in Battlefield 2 and 2142, where you could be sitting there up to 5 to 10 minutes just for the game to make a decision on matchmaking. It seems the matchmaking system that works automatically in Battlefield 1 sends you right into the action, and that's great. I love that. It doesn't take more than about 10 to 20 seconds for it to find a server for you to go in. It matches your player skill, server load, location, and even your ping. So that works amazing, and I like to see more of that in future releases of Battlefield, and I hope to see that in the beta and the final releases. Of course, we get to graphics, because everyone loves graphics. Of course, you hear from the console side, the graphics aren't as important as the gameplay, and while that's true, we still need to focus on the fact of the improvements from Battlefield 4 and Hardline. Of course, we're still using the Frostbite engine. We're using Frostbite 3, and they've improved the tessellation, and they're using Destruction 4.0, which thus far in the game, as you see in this video, has worked a lot better. The graphics and the optimization in the Frostbite engine have allowed them to get more performance and graphic performance out of the game, and that's something that we've been asking for a while as far as performance goes. Of course, the game is going to be DirectX 12, so when DirectX 12 releases and NVIDIA releases drivers that are even more optimized for the game setting, we're going to see performance increase even more. And that's something amazing, especially seeing in the alpha version that this game already looks damn near final. And that's something that you have to love in any video game. Of course, there's still the speculation of mod tools being released for the Frostbite 3 engine or above. And while I'd love to see that, that probably won't happen even from the few EA developers that I spoke to. As far as performance and drivers goes, once Windows 10 releases DirectX 12, we'll probably see an increase in it. Of course, since Battlefield 1 is a single console unit and PC release, they've been able to take more out of the Frostbite engine and make the game work a lot more better and optimized than it normally would in this environment. The sound effects in the game are great. Of course, I use a Z5500 surround sound setup on an X5 Fatality. I've still been using that same setup for years in any Battlefield game. And the directions, as far as sound goes, the sound directions works great, especially on war tapes and surround. You're able to hear every effect. You can hear where someone's coming from. You can hear the bullets. You can hear the airplanes, gunfire. It's a very immersive experience, and I've loved it a lot. The controls and keys still remain the same from Battlefield 4 and Hardline. It seems they've actually consolidated the controls even better. And one of the things I will be testing again is the joystick, because my original clan, EA, Air Clan, we fly with joysticks, especially in Battlefield 2, the mods for Battlefield 2 and 2142. Keyboard, mouse, and joystick were very crucial, and in this game, flying is dogfighting only. There are no missiles or anything like that, because of course in World War I, you have the optimization of using a joystick, and we need to see how that works, and we'll be testing that more to see if we can get those settings lined out to make the best experience possible. Flying feels a lot more improved from the since any Frostbite engine had come out. I preference flying in Battlefield 2 and 2142 a lot better than when Frostbite and Bad Company 2 came out. There was a lot to be asked for there, and a lot of settings and configurability that they took away. Weapons-wise in the game, you can get on the ground, you can fight guys. Of course, once again, it's World War I, so the scope type rifles are limited and the SMGs are limited. There are a few complaints about SMGs, and I'm not really big on that being in the game. More people wanted even more boat action rifles, but my entire time playing, I love the boat action rifles and they worked great. I love the SMGs, those also work great. The classes like the support, assault, medics, and engineer type class all seem to immerse together well, and that teamwork is something that I look for in any Battlefield experience. I felt that that teamwork aspect, at least in the map that they're letting us play here in the alpha, has more to be asked for. People are complaining about no revives, medics, and supplies. Those have always been complaints. I feel if we get the classes to mold a little bit better and maybe in a different map environment, that we'll see a bit more reviving and teamwork as far as supplies and medic supplies go. It's a hit or miss type of deal as usual, because it depends on your community. The feel of the game is completely different. The feel of Battlefield 1 is not like any other Battlefield game before it. It has its own experience, and ironically, what it reminds me the most of is Battlefield Heroes. And a lot of people haven't played Battlefield Heroes. I've been playing Battlefield since 2003, starting with Battlefield 1942. I've played different mods. I've created maps for the game. I've also did code in Sandbox, Project Reality, AIX mods back in the day. The feeling is completely different. It has more of a realistic effect to it. But I do feel like Battlefield Heroes and Battlefield 1 have a lot in common, and I've even compared them basically to being a lineage of each other, since Battlefield Heroes was World War I-ish based. The game, I mean, it works great. I have no complaints just about, there's little things here or there, but for an alpha release, it is simply amazing. Now, going to tanks and vehicles. Tanks and vehicles, you don't just pop in and out of vehicles anymore. You know, it's like, hey, I'm here, and then, hey, I'm there. No, you got to climb in the vehicle. It takes some time. I hadn't really experienced being under fire and being killed during the animation of getting into a vehicle. It still seems like virtually your hitbox, you basically pop into the vehicle instantly, even though you have a realistic animation of hopping in the vehicle. And that may be something that they critique later as far as video game balance goes. When it comes to the relation between tanks, vehicles, and airplanes, it's great. The blimp, some people are already complaining that they're like, oh my god, that's OP. You know, it's overpowered. No, it's not really overpowered. If you're underneath the blimp and the enemy has the blimp, you're going to get raped. You're going to get raped, like, anally, right there on the spot. It's pretty bad, but the balance in the game is that you've got attack aircraft, you've got bombers, and you have your general aircraft fly around, and they can have a gunner also as well with them. And that works really well. If you're in a bomber, you're going to definitely need a gunner with you, because attack planes will tear your ass to pieces. And it's not fun at all, because you're basically a sitting duck. So teamwork is going to come into play a lot between the bombers and the attack aircraft in the game. I was able to lay waste to people with bombing. Back in the day, we had a lot of practice in Battlefield 2, especially with bombing targets. Within my clan, we were always a dogfighting and no missiles clan, only missiles where necessary. So bombing, it just kind of relived the old days that I could bomb a target without it being like some special guided missile. I was actually able to get pretty good trajectories on targets, so you're going to actually have to calculate that. It's got a realism to it. It takes time. You're going to have to estimate your targets before you bomb them, and dive bombing doesn't seem to work too well, which I appreciate that because the dive bombing aspect could be a little bit unrealistic. Between tanks and vehicles, being attacked in a tank or vehicle, you seem to get shredded to pieces by the infantry. Of course, there was less armor back then on tanks and vehicles. I'm not really complaining about that because it makes a good balance between being attacked and on the ground between a major vehicle. But if you've got a good crew, if you've got a good gunner crew with you, you can thwart that instantly, and your one tank can basically lay waste an entire side of the map. You can get your capture points, you can get your flags. Some people were complaining about the music in the background, and the music deal in the background, I don't know if that's just kind of an alpha thing or not. That really didn't hear very much on that. I would prefer there not be music in the background while I'm playing, but it didn't bother me that much, and it was once again just like Battlefield Heroes, which had music playing in the background as you played the game. I was still able to hear sound effects, where people are coming from. Everything worked great. One of the complaints was the hit markers. Another complaint being the hit markers. They aren't registering in the correct spot from where you're actually being fired at. When you go to turn where the hit marker is pointing at, then you realize, like, wait a minute, there's nobody over it, and bam, you're dead. So it's like you instantly die no matter what, because the hit markers aren't actually indicating correctly. And that'll be resolved, obviously, probably by the beta, or if they send out a release alpha update. But overall, I've enjoyed this game very much, and I look forward to more, especially enjoying the Battlefield community. I like that sense of community to be there the entire time when playing this game, and I look forward to seeing more. I may have more videos and more updates regarding Battlefield 1 Alpha now that the NDA was released. And if you've got any thoughts, comments, or questions, leave them below in the low bar, and I will talk to you guys later.